Beep, 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 beep. Morning. It's 0500. What does the O stand for? Oh my God, it's early, in the words of the wonderful Robin Williams from Good Morning Vietnam. Welcome, folks, and how are we today? I hope that you're well. What have we got? We're back in Scotland. I want to stop talking about Scotland. I do, really. Not really. I mean, what a glorious place Scotland is. One of the most beautiful countries in the world. You know? Edinburgh, January is one of my favourite places to be, right? But what are they up to? So there was a link that was sent to me by one of my warrior teachers this morning. They're from abroad, because obviously when I got up at 4:30 it was there waiting for me. Are you doing a video? To which the answer to your question is, you know who you are. Yes, I am. Right, okay. So they'd sent me a link from Wings Over Scotland, which had been posted in one of Graham's updates, which they thought I might find interesting. Well, they weren't wrong. We have to say that about them. They weren't wrong. So, okay, so as usual, the links are in the doobries, all right? So, yeah, buy me a coffee, will you? Let's get the new year started. Warrior Teacher Programme cohort in February. We're just looking for people to apply. Those of you that have applied, thank you so far. Let's just keep going. We need numbers. So if you want to be a warrior teacher, now's your time. Now let's have a look and see what the Wings of Scotland thing's about. Now, the Scottish government is planning to do what the English government didn't do, which is they're planning to do conversion therapy banning. Now the English government, if you remember, go back far enough in the midst of what was 2022, the government refused to ban conversion therapy for gender identity, not least of all because nobody can give a coherent example of what gender identity is other than woo-woo feels, right? Okay, so the government said no. And if you recall at the time when the government said no, a lot of the LGBT hands, knees and bumps and daisy people groups threw their toys at the pram and refused to go to a conference which they themselves had called for. The government cancelled the conference and didn't care. So they all got a bit snitty. It was like, you know, like putting a pencil up their nose. They weren't happy at all, right? But the Scottish government, being run as it is by Jimmy Cranky, are absolutely determined to make themselves look like arses. So this, which is Wings Over Scotland are right. It's a serious thing, right? What these people are a risk to our cohesion as a society. It's that simple, right? So to begin with, let me tell you that I think this is a prevent issue. So I'm going to put the links to report it to prevent. That's what we should be doing. Report these people to prevent. Prevent, if you don't know, is the British group who are tasked with monitoring extremism and terrorism. Obviously, they deal with the severe possibility of imminent violence from terrorism, but they also deal, hopefully, with snarky people who don't like our country and are effectively saying, well, you know, we want to do this, which is what this is all about, right? So just bear with me, because it is terrifying, really. But give me a minute, right? The Scottish government, I've taken this from another article that prompted Wings Over Scotland to write their excellent article, which I will again include in the doobries, right? Okay, so here we go. The Scottish government is on a collision course with the courts again as it prepares legislation criminalising conversion therapy. This is according to a King's Council. That's the first time I said that. It's not Queen, is it anymore? It's because she's popped off. Now it says here, double silk, Aidan O'Neill. Double silk? What does that mean? Sounds like a gusset. Double silk, Aidan O'Neill, King's Council, has warned that the proposals will be outside the legislative competence of the Scottish Parliament. Well, that hasn't stopped them before. See, as they're heading for like a steam train to a showdown with Sunak and the crew in regards to their ridiculous nonsense about gender recognition. So the SNP Green Alliance is considering plans to outlaw any activity. This is the important bit. Now, I've read the report that comes with this. Again, all the links are in the doobries. 50 pages of crap. You're welcome to read it. You want to see who these people are. Mad, right? Is considering plans to outlaw any activity, including parental chats, prayer and preaching, deemed to be an attempt to change a person's sexuality or gender identity. They appointed an expert group Again, Wings Over Scotland have done a great job of highlighting who this expert group are, and I would use the word expert in inverted commas. One of them is a nappy fetishist. I imagine he's full of shit. Right. Which made a series of recommendations for a new criminal offence which it claims will be within Holyrood's devolved powers. A new criminal offence. Mr O'Neill, however, has said the proposals are fundamentally illiberal. Right, Mr O'Neill is understating matters. And they are also beyond the powers of the Scottish Parliament to legislate. Well, he's right about that. In a written opinion for the Christian Institute, Mr O'Neill said the far-reaching conversion therapy proposals would criminalise innocent parents and preachers. It does far more than that. Have a look. However, Simon Culver, a deputy director at the Christian Institute, said that his organisation is preparing the ground for legal action similar to the named person challenge. The named person was a dreadful piece of Scottish legislation that would have given it would essentially made the state the parent, which is what the same sort of thing as they're trying to do here now. Hey, these equity wallers. If the Scottish Government follows the advice of its expert advisory group, you have to have a look at the expert advisory group to believe it. It's all in the Wings Over Scotland article. Brilliantly done there, Rev. Brilliantly done. Mr O'Neill says the proposal would have... the Scottish Government follows the advice of it. If it follows the advice of its expert advisory group, it will be exceeding its power and inflicting the most totalitarian conversion therapy ban in the world. LGBTotalitarian. Oh, that's the title, I think. I'll call that out. Call it that. Call this that, yeah. They would have the undoubted effect of criminalising much mainstream pastoral work of churches, mosques and synagogues and temples. The problem here is, again, the conflation of sexual orientation and gender identity. And gender expression, which they've also included, by the way. So it's how you dress now as well. Oh! Right, so... feminist activists, church workers, mums, dads, me, you, anybody... all sorts of innocent people could find themselves on the wrong end of a prosecution if this becomes law. And I think Scottish taxpayers will eventually find themselves picking up a legal bill for another court defeat. What if she's LARPing? Oh, Jimmy Crookie. What if she's LARPing? What if this is all about just putting, Scotland at loggerheads with the UK's Parliament, so that so independence just falls in their lap? I don't know. God knows. It's so mad. You have to wonder what's going on. LGBT people, no such thing, right? LGBT, there's no such thing as an LGBT person, right? They're not all of it. Can't be all of it, can they? Because trans is conversion therapy, isn't it? Trans is the conversion therapy. That's why 80% of the kids at the Tavistock were gay, and 100% of the original Dutch study were gay, because trans is conversion therapy. They're trying to ban people from banning conversion therapy. They're trying to do. They're trying to ban people from stopping conversion therapy. They are the opposite of what they say they are, and they are what they accuse you of being. It's always the same. The Scottish Government is considering a law that would criminalise churches and gender-critical feminists alike simply because their conversations around sex and gender don't conform to a narrow state-approved brand of LGBT politics. It's bloody insane. Right, this is a legal opinion, by the way. This is from a Scottish legal document that links Dewberry. We're very concerned that the expert advisory group is urging them to pass a law that would put the ordinary work of churches in the firing line. It's not just churches. They're right, obviously, to be concerned, because what we are seeing here is an attack upon the fundamentals of our liberal society. And one of the fundamental planks of the liberal society is that you have a right to practice your religion. If you're a person of faith, practice your religion. It's the usual story, isn't it? Right? You can practice your religion. And I don't care. Why would I don't care if you believe there are pink fairies in your refrigerator. I don't. But if your pink fairies start telling me what to do, we're going to have a problem. Bizarrely, one of the biggest groups behind this particular new piece of legislation, and members of this advisory group, are an almost evangelical Christian group. How the church loves gender, eh? How the church loves gender. Thankfully, some in the church don't. So it's interesting that it's the church, and there's a religious connotation to all of this, is taking on what is a religion. It's phenomenal, isn't it, really? It is, we're trying to defeat the sparrows from Game of Thrones. Right, so here we go. What does this report advocate? Many things. It's 50 pages long, so get yourself a coffee. I don't mean I'm going to read it. I mean, if you're going to read it, get yourself a coffee. So here we go. The report advocates a new criminal offence that does not require any proof or intention of harm. Da-dum, 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 da-da-da-da-da. Either that or, you know, it's all a bit Russian. Black bags, Viva Vendetta, it's all those things. It would be illegal to say the wrong thing, even if it is totally harmless. I've read the report, that's what they're calling for. That's what they're calling for. Aidan O'Neill refers to this as a strict liability offence, where there is no need for any criminal intent in order to be found guilty. Right? It doesn't even have to be the person who thinks they're a victim that reports it. It can be anyone. Anyone who overhears. Can you say Stasi? I'll be black bagging everyone. I'll be speared black bagged. Like Stephen Fry in V for Vendetta hiding under the bed. They're going to have me. The expert group's recommendations undoubtedly involve proposals for radical changes in the current law and marked expansion in the powers of the state. I think it's terrorism. Plain and simple. Indeed, they are fundamentally illiberal in intent. They are totalitarian in intent. I love they minimise it, don't they? Let's not go too far. Don't use that word. I use it. They're totalitarian. They're dangerous. Dangerous to us. Injurious to our society. Right, here we go. Just to finish this off. This is because in order to stigmatise and change what the expert group's members clearly regard to be moral and objectionable behaviour and attitudes, conversion practices. So in order to change conversion practices, the expert group recommends a new use of, in particular, the criminal law, right? And here's what they recommend. Prick up your ears. If you get that, you're good. Right. The Scottish authorities are called upon by the expert group to use the full weight of the state's coercive powers of expropriation, incarceration and humiliation against individuals and associations in Scotland deemed guilty, even at an individual's request or with their consent, of performing, offering, promoting, authoring, prescribing or arranging for any treatment, practice or effort that is deemed to be aimed at changing, suppressing and or eliminating that person's sexual orientation, gender identity and or gender expression. No! You bunch of nut jobs. No, right? There's a few of the old usuals hiding in the expert group. Go and have a look. Go and have a look and see what it is. Usual nutters, right? Notice there it's just the forced teaming, which, if you remember, forced teaming is something I've mentioned before, which is what they do. They bring people together of disparate thinking or disparate. They bring disparate ideas together that don't mix, right? So there is, sexual orientation. Who's doing conversion on sexual orientation now? Might be happening, in some churches. People are praying a bit. But there's laws against this already. We've got it. This has got nothing to do with sexual orientation. So you've got to separate it out. It's not the LGBTQ hands, knees and bums and days people. It's the TQ+. That's all it's all about, right? Gender identity, we know, is personality, and gender expression is fashion. They want to make it a crime so that if you're, as in Wings of Scotland have said, if your son comes downstairs dressed in a diaper with a ball gag and a fake penis that's like 8 inches long, and he's 15, and that's part of his gender expression, you wouldn't be able to say no. This is the attempt by the state to take over parental responsibility for children. Scotland has form for this, because it did this previously with its named person fiasco. It has form for this. Scotland, you need to look at who it is that is governing your country and wake up and smell the coffee. Or do you think independence and totalitarianism is a better replacement than what we've currently got? Even the most hardcore of you that vehemently want independence, and good luck to you, do you really believe that you'll get that independence through these nut jobs? through people who are in bed with these guys. They're paying them too. The Scottish government's paying them too. Go and read the Wings Over Scotland article. It's brilliant. There we go. Some scary stuff to get you going first thing in the morning. I'm now back at work. I'm going to work, so I'm not going to be about as much as I was. However, it's great to be in a new year, 2023, where we can move forward together and start to see some fruits of our labours. That's what we're after. So become a warrior bloody teacher. Stop fanning about. I'll see you later. Have a great day. Bye-bye.